It's always football season on Idaho Sports Talk. Prater and the Ballgame are counting down the top 15 Boise State football players leading up to spring camp on March 5th on Sports Radio The Ticket.
Legal disclaimer. With all due respect, not counting kickers and punters because we already know of their importance.
I love it. Our brand new series kicks off right now. Idaho Sports Talk listeners, appreciate you and everybody watching this segment. Shout out to the Dollar Loan Center for our Dollar Loan Center video segment. This will be available on our YouTube channel a little later. Michael Prater, it's actually airing there live today. But I'm excited for this one. This is our big home run 5 o'clock segment. We're going to be doing this for the next 14 shows after this, Prater, getting ready for spring football practice here in Boise, Idaho.
Love it, love it, love it. 15, as you said, 15 shows before Boise State Open Spring Camp that Tuesday, March 5th, I believe, off the top of my head. Okay. And we're going to break this sucker down with the 15 most important Boise State football players on this roster right now. There's about 115, 116 players on this roster. We're going to focus on the top 15 going into spring ball. And then coming out of spring ball, we're going to do a whole nother 15-part series, the most important 15 players for Boise State coming out of spring ball. You're going to be able to gauge some roster development, look at who's trending up, who's trending down, and who made the list and who didn't make the list. So I think it's important to clarify that as a matter of fact, I'll tell you this, and we're only going to tell you one. We're going to focus on Kaden Dudley today. He's number 15 as our return specialist, and we're going to dive into that case here. The rest of them, you're going to have to figure out. We're not going to tell you any names whatsoever. There's only one newcomer on this team because right now, going into spring camp, that's kind of what it is for newcomers, to establish themselves, to find out where they sit on the depth chart. Are they good? Are they serious? Do they fit the criteria for Spencer Danielson? So one newcomer on this list right now. And then after spring ball game, I have a feeling there might be anywhere from 4 to 6 newcomers as some of these new guys kind of develop and capture our attention, and make some waves with Boise State football.
Definitely. We kept, again, like you said, a lot of those guys off, want to see what they do in spring ball, because that's how we're doing. 15 days before spring ball starts, 15 shows, and then right after, we're going to redo this list. We all did a list of 15 most important Boise State players before camp. Me, Prater, JP, and Bob, we collaborated those lists today, and we came up with, at number 15, Prater, kick return specialist, running back Kaden Dudley.
You can have the running back part of that title, and he'll play a small role in the rotation. There's no doubt about that. But the reason why we put him at number 15 is because he fills a massive void that Boise State football had last year. You guys heard those stats. For the first time in however long, Boise State didn't have a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown. Every single point they had came the traditional route. The return game last year was non-existent, really non-existent. And that's the year before with Stacey Collins, who had himself a really nice year as the special teams coach. Stacey Collins goes to Penn State. Guess what? Stacey Collins is back, and we expect maybe some of that 2021 magic. As punt returners in 2021, Steph Cobbs, Tyreek Jones, and Dylan Herberg. Dylan Herberg really wasn't a return guy, but they had 3 punt return touchdowns. That was a block one. They had some more production as kick returns. Last year, the Boise State only had 8 punt returns all of last year.
For a total of 27 yards.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. Why are you wasting my time with that? And then obviously Kaden Dudley was your kick return guy. He had 20 kick returns, 405 yards, no touchdowns, averaged about 20 yards per pop with a long of 49. I was doing some research for this one, and Kaden Dudley, it kind of blew me away a little bit. 4th on the team last year in all-purpose yards. Some of it because of that kick return, those kick return numbers, but a couple of yards receiving, a couple of yards rushing. So there's a big gap there, and there's a big opportunity for somebody to come in and add an element to this football team that was absolutely missing. Kaden Dudley has often been described by Boise State coaches as one of the most explosive players on this football team. I think Kaden Dudley, under the right coaches with the right mentality, could add a part of Boise State football that may or may not even win you a football game down the road ball game. I think it's important, and I think Kaden Dudley, if he can become that guy, is very, very important.
There's no question in my opinion that the fans, that the coaches, hell, even the players, they want to get back to being able to do stuff on special teams in the return game, right? The kicker and punter combo, great, tops in America. We all get that, but don't stop. I mean, no pun intended, but stop punting on special teams type of thing. It felt to me that last year in the Avalos era that they didn't even want to return a punt. They didn't try. They didn't care. They punted on it. I mean, Prater, how about this? Their total of 27 punt return yards on the year, Mike Prater. There were only 5 FBS teams who had less.
Wow.
So they were the 6th worst team in all of college football in punt return yards, 27. To put that in perspective, this is why Kaden Dudley's number 15 for us. To put that into perspective, Texas, the Longhorns, they led America in punt return yards last year. They had 393. Almost 400 yards. You know what that does in the flip of field position? 400 yards for Texas, 27 yards for Boise State. Prater, this is important. They need to flip fields more often and give this offense less pasture in front of it before these possessions. I hope it's Kaden Dudley. We think it is him. Kick return, punt return. I don't even know if they're going to use him there, but he is a guy that we hear has the explosiveness. Prater, he can make guys miss. I hope to see Kaden Dudley. If he wants to be the return specialist, great. And he can do both of this stuff. Kickoff returns as well. Boise State wasn't good in that regard either last year.
If Kaden Dudley is good at catching the ball, and I'm pretty convinced that that's why George Holani, well, he only had what? Yeah, he only had 1, so that doesn't really
Holani
count.
caught 1 punt last year?
Yeah, so that doesn't really count. I was going to say the reason why they put Holani back there is because they could depend on him to catch the football and not make that mistake and lose the football and have that just games-changing error or turnover that would make a big difference here.
Yeah.
They go back to Stacey Collins.
Okay. Because,
you're right. I mean, Kaden Dudley, kick returns last year. Steph Cobbs had 4 punt returns last year, and then a couple of others had 1. So you're right. It's ridiculous. And it drives me crazy. It drove me crazy last year when coaches tell us in those Monday press conferences, every yard counts. They always brag about the hidden yards and the yards here and there. And just flat out giving up on an important part of the game really drove me crazy last year.
Yeah.
Stacey Collins, and I like where you're going, ball game. If Kaden Dudley can be both, if he can handle the punt return as opposed to catching the ball out of the sky when the sun is staring into your eyes and 11 men are trying to decapitate your head, if he can handle that mentally wise, then Kaden Dudley, I would love to see a punt return. And Stacey Collins has a habit of doing that. In 2021, when he was here, Khalil Shakir and Steph Cobbs were his 2 main punt returners.
Okay.
And Khalil Shakir and Steph Cobbs, along with C.T. Thomas, were your 2 main kick returns. I don't think Stacey Collins has any problems. Kaden Dudley, you're going to return kicks. Kaden Dudley, you're going to return punts. And Kaden Dudley, if you can handle those responsibilities, I might turn you over to the offensive guys for a couple of carries on offense at running back. What did he have last year at running back? He had 8 carries.
Yeah, he had a total last year of 12 scrimmage touches for 52 yards of offense. That's what Kaden Dudley produced from scrimmage. But you add up those kick return yards, Prater, over 400, and he ended up being one of the bigger all-purpose yardage gainers of the team.
And the coaches keep telling us that he is one of the most explosive players on the team, and he only got that many touches. That's a crime.
Yeah, here's the other thing. I'm with you there, man. He was a freshman in 2021, okay? This will be Kaden Dudley's 4th year with the program, and we're kind of still sitting here waiting for him to pop. Hopefully this is the year. If it's not, then I don't know if there's going to be a lot of poppage here. Kaden Dudley, again, he is number 15. He is beginning our new series of the 15 most important players before spring practice to Boise State. We'll do one every show, and it will lead us right up to the kickoff of spring. But that's why we have Dudley here. We saw, Prater, I could sit here and say, okay, Boise State was worse at punt returning than any other thing that has to do with football with the team last year. Could you think of any other thing that they were so stinking, pukey poor at that would be worse than 27 punt return yards on the year, ranked 128th in America?
Outside of whatever reasons they decided to fire the coach, probably not. I mean, that was kind of a big one. But no, I mean, in terms of X's and O's, I mean, the quarterback thing, I mean, that's always going to be on the debate list because that was so damn squirrely. to me, it's the most glaring hole that you need to fix. And that's exactly why you have spring ball, is to establish this new mentality of special teams. You can take care of it. And Kaden Dudley's never caught a punt return at Boise State. I just went and looked at his entire career. So I don't know, maybe there's something there and we'll figure that out. But figure it out, Stacey Collins. You got a beautiful tool. You got a beautiful opportunity. Stacey Collins is a big old fat man like me. He could be a better punt returner than what Boise State showed last year. Now you give me Stacey Collins the mind, Stacey Collins the coach, Stacey Collins with the scheme, and then give me one of the most explosive players on this football team. It'd be a crime if they didn't get this thing fixed by the time the regular season rolls around.
Let's get it done. Kaden Dudley, you're up. You're number 15 on Prater and the Ballgame's introductory list here.
The next 2 days, we're going to talk about a defensive player and an offensive player. How's that? That doesn't tell you a lot, does it?
Yeah, nice tease there.
A defensive guy. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about a safety. How about that?
I don't get that.
Tomorrow in our series, we're going to talk about a safety.
Okay. Yeah, now I get it. Who do you think we're talking about? 208-424-9300. We
There's
will
like
not tell you.
There's like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, it could be. That's the position. It could be a lot of them.
That's a position that we spent a lot of time with this morning, because the safety position, the nickel position, the free safety, the boundary, all that stuff. We put it in the safety hat, and we picked one safety tomorrow, the 14th most important football player on the Boise State roster. We're going to do this every day all the way up till Tuesday, March 5th, when Boise State kicks off fall camp or spring camp. And I have a feeling you guys might be able to figure out a couple of the top 5, but we're going to get you tomorrow with a safety.
So when we get to number 1, Prater, that day they kick off spring, or is it the following day?
That day. Now, I'm not sure what this actual schedule is, whether they're on the field or meetings or whatever, but spring camp starts Tuesday, March 5th, and that's the last day where we're going to do the series. We'll do it every show up until then.
I don't know if you guys are just joining us. We've been talking all day about George Holani continuing the streak for at least one Boise State football player to get an NFL Combine invite. That happened today for the Boise State running back. What does it mean to you that George Holani is going to the NFL Combine? Did you think he was going to get drafted or wasn't before? And does this change anything? Call. We'll bring you on the show. We want your opinion, Bronco Nation. George Holani, does he have a shot to get drafted, in your opinion? 208-424-9300 on the Double Tap Pub hotline. Another shout out tomorrow. We'll be at Pastry Perfection for the Diamond Dig. If you haven't got qualified yet, have no fear. Show up at Pastry Perfection tomorrow during the show. And we're going to qualify 4 walk-ups to have a chance to dig for a diamond ring from the Diamond Girls. Tomorrow, JP, can't wait. And I'm sorry in advance, JP. I know you're jealous. That is my favorite show possibly to do of the year. You walk into Pastry Perfection and it just smells like, I don't know, Candyland. Yeah. Heaven? It's just beautiful, man. We'll have to bring you some stuff home.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe I'll bring you, I don't know. Remember last time I bought you donuts?
They have this, I don't know what it's called, but this apple fritterish type of dessert cake thing.
It looks good to you?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay. I'm not an apple fritter guy or a bear claw guy. I don't like the apple stuff.
Well,
but no, I mean, I respect people who do, JP. All right. Let's get George Holani. What does this mean to you? 208-424-9300. Thoughts on his Combine invite on Prater and the Ballgame. We'll get to him. We come up on Idaho Sports Talk.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Tick